Hey guys, happy Wednesday. I know I'm seriously doing Med Chat Mondays on a Wednesday. I'm so annoyed with myself, but in life you have to take care of yourself first before you take care of anybody else. And I had planned on doing this episode on Monday because obviously it's hashtag Med Chat Mondays. And it was all about the power of the follow-up and how you can get all your doctors on the same page, and sharing more of my experiences with you so that you can then take them and implement them into something that you're going through medically, health related. And so I was all ready to record, and I actually was following up with a lot of people for my legal case, my medical malpractice legal case, and then I got thrown for a loop. I had one of the doctors call me, and I lost my mind. So yesterday was Tuesday, and I literally had an emotional hangover, and I've done a podcast episode on that before, and they're like no joke. I did have some wine, but I could barely drink it. I did a short episode on my second podcast, which nobody really knew about. I just started recording a couple weeks ago, and I just couldn't record for you guys, and I wanted to make this episode worth you watching, and I wasn't able to, follow through and give you the content that you needed that I've had on my page since Monday. And I literally couldn't do it. I had to get myself together so that I could come on camera and look like this and share what I know and share what works the best. And I just wasn't able to do that. So here I am on Wednesday recording. Something else that I've realized, I really wanted to do this series live and answer a lot of questions live. However, I'm starting to realize, I'm just going to be totally honest with you, that I'm not ready to commit to something like that. I want to so bad, but this legal case there's 6 of them. There is so much more work than I have to do, and you're going to hear about that in a little bit and why I was following up. And it's just going to be a lot more intense for a little while. I thought I was kind of in the clear, and then I realized, there's a lot more I have to do. So if something happens like that again and you're expecting a show, it's not going to be live. So what I've decided is that this show is going to stay on YouTube. So I'm actually going to switch up the marketing, and you can then, of course, expect another video for Med Chat Mondays. Excuse me, I have hiccups on Mondays right here on my YouTube channel. It's not going to be live on Facebook anymore. This way I can take a day and record and be able to, provide you with the best content that you can take and use in your life that's going to work when you're going through something health related, when, if you're caring for somebody else, if it's a friend or family member. This way I'll be able to take a day to record these videos and then push them out on Mondays for you, just like I do for my podcast. I record ahead of time usually, and the past week or two has been out of control. Mercury is in retrograde, if you haven't noticed, and all these crazy things are happening, and I thought I was in the clear, and I wasn't, and there's just a lot more I need to do in regards to this legal case to finish it. And that is also something else I'm going to continue to share once that's done. I have a lot of content I'm sitting on, how you can actually put together your own medical malpractice legal case, because I just did it 6 times myself. So today's show is not about that. Today I just wanted to share my update, why I'm recording on a Wednesday and not a Monday when it's Med Chat Mondays. And you can for sure expect a video next Monday. I haven't decided what I want to talk about yet. If there are questions that you would like me to answer, what you can do from now on is visit thehappyworkaholic.com. You'll see the page right there, Med Chat Mondays, and you can submit your question there. And I'm going to answer it for you, and then I'll email you or message you on social media, however you contact me, and let you know that show is live, answering your questions. I think that's a lot more of an organized system, and that way you can expect the shows on my YouTube channel on Monday. You can expect your answers your questions answered on the show, and I will notify you when that show goes live on my channel. So those are the updates. So I want to dive into today's episode. So today's episode, I want to talk about the power of the follow-up. Now, as I've said before, if you haven't seen these other episodes, I've always said that taking care of your health or somebody else's health, you have to run it like a business. And I'm not kidding when I say that. You need to be organized. I've already talked about that a million times on my podcast, as well as one of the past episodes of this series. And if you're not organized, you're not going to be able to follow up. So on Monday, I'm going to give you a prime example. On Monday, I was following up with everybody involved in my legal case, all of the insurance companies, the investigators, the attorneys I'm dealing with, and I was giving them a little bit of time to get their jobs done. I followed up. I got emails in return, which I wasn't expecting right away, so that was fantastic, right? Now I'm thinking to myself, I should probably follow up with my medical records that are getting pulled and see if that's actually happening. So half of them have and half of them have not. And I came across the main hub in this country that provides the medical records to be sent out. So because I followed up, because I called 3 times to get access into the system to speak to a human, I mean, this takes work, you guys. You have to be on your A game or it's just not going to work out. You've got to utilize your notes on your phone, a notebook, have these systems in place. And if you want to know what I'm talking about, refer back to how to be organized with your health on this series where I give you all my tips and tricks. But if you have everything in your phone, if you have everything in your planner, your notebook, whatever system is best for you, you will then know in your planner to follow up with whoever is involved in your medical case, right? So I called the medical records department and I realized that so-and-so is getting things processed. I realized, and I was actually told, their entire logistics in their system. So now I have a checklist, and now this is a whole nother project. So now I can see when they're requesting, when it's processed, when the invoice was sent, when they're paid, when it's getting sent out. So now when I go to follow up with another attorney and they say they haven't received them, I can go then look at my notes because I'm organized and say, actually on this date, on this time it was faxed and you paid on this date. So that's why you need to be organized, because if you're not organized, you won't be able to follow up in an organized fashion as well. So by following up, this is just not about my legal case. I just wanted to share the systems I have in place again. So when it comes to following up with a doctor's appointment, you want to make sure that, number one, you're registered for your patient portals. That's so important. I'm going to share with you another reason why when I get into how you can get all your doctors on board when you have multiple, you're working with multiple. So when you have your patient portal, you have your passwords. I store them in my phone in a password keeper or as contacts. So it's really up to you how you want to be organized, whatever works best for you. I'm just sharing what's working best for me. So you want to have your cell phone number. You get text alerts. So when I go to therapy a couple days prior, I think I got it yesterday. So yesterday's Tuesday. I go to therapy every Friday. So I get a text saying, asking me if I'm coming to confirm yes or no. Things like that make it really simple. So when you want to follow up with a doctor, you can do that on your patient portal. You can do it through text messaging. Maybe if they have an app, some of my doctors used to have apps, so you can utilize that if it makes it easier. And when you are getting labs, when you're getting a lot of blood work done, there's a lot of ways around the system where you can get your results a lot quicker than waiting for your doctor. A patient portal. So if you're using LabCorp or Quest Diagnostics, is it Quest Diagnostics? Quest LabCorp, and then there's another one, I forget the name, but you want to make sure that you have a patient portal for them, because you will actually, the way that their system works with Quest and LabCorp, as soon as they send the results to your doctor, they will then send them to you, and you can see them in the system within 36 hours of them doing that. Sometimes it's actually 24, and you can actually request the test to get, what's the word I'm looking for? Expedited for you. As long as they've sent them to the doctor first, you then have access. So most of the times we have follow-up appointments for our lab work, right? So I have a thyroid condition. Whenever I get my labs done, they want to see me in a couple weeks. That test takes a couple days. So if I want to see my lab results quicker, I get notified in my email, because I've signed up for the patient portal, that my tests are in. So that means I've already sent them to the doctor. So within a 2 week, way less than 2 weeks, I'm actually able to read my lab results before the doctor tells me. So I can go in prepared, or I can, see if I have any questions, I'll write them down, because again, you have to be organized, and I'll go into that meeting, because you have to treat it like a business. So go into that appointment/meeting and be prepared. So I've done this a lot with all my labs, all my blood work, and it saves you a lot of stress when you go in prepared. So this is, again, why you really have to be organized and why you want to follow up with your doctors. And there's a lot of other tips and tricks that I'm sharing on oh my gosh, I'm losing my train of thought, on my podcast. So if you're not familiar with my podcast, it's the Happy Workaholic Podcast. It's available worldwide on all your favorite syndicated platforms. So I want to talk to you about getting all of your doctors on board. So a patient reached out to me, and she has multiple doctors, and usually when you have a condition, you do, and they need to communicate. One took her off a drug that she needed. Another one is now fighting to get her back on. The way that you can get them, this, I'm just going to let you know, is stressful, and I'm here to share my tips so that maybe I can help alleviate a little bit of that stress for you. So again, why you need a patient portal is because you're going to be able to speak to your doctor's nurse or medical assistant that way. They can also get in touch with your other doctor's medical assistant and nurse that way a lot quicker than on the phone, because they don't have time. They're dealing with hundreds of patients a day. They're allotted a specific time to hop on the computer, answer the messages. If you are signed up for patient portals, you'll notice that you'll always get messages lunchtime, really early in the morning, lunchtime, or late at night, because those are the breaks that they get. They're dealing with multiple patients. They don't have time. So in order for you to not lose your mind, to be organized and get everybody on the same page, you need to be on your patient portal. You need to be messaging your nurse, your medical assistant to the doctor, and having them contact each other to have them all on the same page. Why are you stopping this drug? Can we use it for something else? And this isn't just about your medications and the drugs that you're on. It's also about appointments and labs and testing, and we want to make sure that all of your doctors are aware of what each other is doing, because you're going to be all over the place with your appointments. So if you're going to, say for example, let's use my case, of course, as an example. So if I'm going to a neuro-ophthalmologist, a neurologist, a rheumatologist, blood doctor, brain and eye doctor, getting scans, my primary doctor, a therapist, an ears, nose, and throat doctor, you need to make sure that all of these doctors are on the same page. They need to all know who you're seeing, their contact information, the medications you're on is so important, and what they do to you. Sometimes they interact with each other and no one's paying attention to that, and that's really your job, because you have to think about it from their perspective. They're dealing with hundreds of patients and they don't really look at those things, not all the time. So if you have a really good doctor, they will absolutely look at it. Medical assistants look at it, nurses look at it. But if you miss the boat and you forget to write down a medication and they prescribe something else, those interact, you're not going to feel so good. So that's another reason why you have to be organized, especially when it comes to medications. And I'm trying to, explain this to you so that you don't go through things that I went through, where I had so many medications in my system and they were just like completely messing me up. I had the worst side effect because nobody was paying attention to how they interact, how they work together. And so when I came to San Diego, I actually saw a doctor where I sat down, and her job was to explain to me how all of these medications work together. So if I'm on prescription A and B, when they're together, they'll do this for you. But if you take too much of B and add C, then we're in trouble. So let's take away C and add more of B and you're good, right? So there's all different systems. It's different for everyone. Again, this is just, I'm sharing my experience from a patient perspective. I'm obviously not a doctor, but these are the things that you need to pay attention to. So in order to get everybody on the same page, and in order to follow up properly and to make sure your appointments are scheduled, you have the right time, if they've changed the office, your medical assistants, your nurses, your doctors, your pharmacist, I've been using CVS probably since I was a kid. I was using Walgreens for a little bit, but now I'm back to CVS, and they have this new system in place where if you're purchasing a prescription that you've never taken before, which they obviously know it's in the system, they have to, I'm not sure if it's just California, but they have to, by law, take you around and explain this medication to you. How amazing is that? So that gives you the opportunity to sit down, ask questions. They'll tell you, like, if there's maybe some side effects, like, please make sure you eat before this. That's a great system that they've just implemented, and nobody's ever done that. So that's great. And I'm not sure if it's just California. I'm not sure if it's just, CVS, but if you're on something new, what you need to do is ask your pharmacist how this interacts with the drugs that you're on. So again, if you're organized, do I have it here? It's somewhere in my purse. If you're organized, you should have your little pill case. I'm going to share with you mine. It's actually all vitamins now, believe it or not. And inside, I still have chemo nausea medicine, because that's for emergencies. I have my little meds list, and I have my doctor list. So I can literally whip this out when I go to CVS and be like, okay, I'm on this, and this is actually all vitamins, minus my thyroid. And if I'm on a new medication like I just was to kill my vertigo, I was on 3 super strong meds, and they had to be taken combined 5 times a day in order to knock this vertigo out. So it worked, thank God. So they told me that this is one of the strongest antibiotics that you'll ever be on, and I had to take it 5 times a day, plus steroids, plus a water pill. It worked, but it kicked my you-know-what. I was exhausted, and I still am exhausted because my body is detoxing. I'm trying to heal, and a million other things are happening. So I'm just trying to keep my head up. I'm trying to follow up myself, and I'm trying to, be available online as much as I can. But the number one priority is to take care of yourself. And I was so upset that I couldn't come on live because I've put so much time and effort into this series because I just want to be able to help so many more patients go through something on a more positive level than stressful, like I did for 3 years. And the fact that I couldn't show up, literally killed me. But I've never cried so hard in my life. I was a mess. So in order for me to come on and be positive for you guys and to really share everything that I had prepared, I had to wait. And then yesterday, like I said, I had an emotional hangover, and that was just, I was still the hot mess express. And now Mercury is in retrograde, so it's like I can't win. So today's Wednesday, and I'm back. So you can definitely expect a brand new video for MedChat Mondays on YouTube every Monday. And if I wasn't organized and I did not follow through, I would not have made strides in my specific legal case on Monday because I didn't have these systems in place. So please, if you need to re-listen to a podcast about getting organized, listen to the last MedChat series episode. It's so important to implement these into your health story, journey, whatever you want to call it, because they're going to help you. They're going to really help alleviate a lot of stress. And if it's not just for you, if you're a caregiver or you're a family member or a friend taking care of somebody, you have to have these in place. I mentioned again on another episode that, when I was getting organized, I had to have a health proxy, I had to do my will, and I had to share my system with my best friend so that she knew where to go if she needed something. She knew what drugs I was on. I had a medical ID that had all of my information, my metal port ID, everything was on there, so you can literally look it up online, so in case something were to happen. But my best friend knew that. My best friend knew where a copy of my will was, my health proxy. She could pull my medical records if that needed to be done. She knew everything that was written down, my system. You have to have a system in place. God forbid something happens, you need to share that system with somebody else that is taking control of your health or is aware of what's going on. God forbid something happens, you need to have somebody else's backup know what's going on so that you can be helped. So again, Thank you guys so much for being patient. I'm sorry this is late, but I'm already going to record some new ones this weekend, so they're going to be ready for the next few Mondays. And like I said, if you want to submit a question so that I can answer for you, just go to thehappyworkaholic.com and you'll see MedChat Mondays right there. And then you can submit your question to me there, and then I'll notify you. I'll answer it on one of the next episodes. And that's all I wanted to share with you guys today. I want to wrap this up 20 minutes, and we're there right now. So I hope that you guys are having a happy, healthy, positive, and productive week, and I will see you soon.